Hey everyone, Greenbird here. I hope everyone is doing fantastic, living the life they want to live, having the day that they deserve. Today I wanted to do a quick video on unpracticing. That's a strange concept, isn't it? Unpracticing, what is that? That's the opposite of practicing, or is it undoing your practicing? I don't know, let's talk about it. So has anybody out there heard of unschooling? It's a, sorry, bug. It's a really interesting way of homeschooling, and it's not anything against, your local school or traditional academics. I just want to make it clear that me personally, where I live, I have absolutely zero issues with the way the schools are run. I know in other areas I take great issue, but I just want to make it clear that that's not the reason that we have chosen to homeschool. So unschooling is basically taking schooling out of the traditional academic framework. So instead of, things like in math, you have 10 minutes to do as many problems as you can. Boom, start, go. And seeing, how many you can get done, or, say grading on a scale of, percentage on quizzes and things like that. It's more of a life-based schooling. So it's more of like, if I have 5 hens and each hen lays an egg a day, how many days will it take before I have 50 eggs? That sort of thing, where it's much more applicable. Sorry, I've got a yellow jacket that's circling me. It seems to like me. That's okay. I like it too. So it's things like that, and it might be like science, for example, is a great example. So when you learn the trees, they suck up the water, right? The water goes to the leaves photosynthesize, and you can talk all about that in science class. But then maybe you bring it back to in the fall when those leaves, the tree stops, don't get so close. The tree starts to store its energy and doesn't photosynthesize at the same rate. The leaves start to, get out of here, start to dry out because they're not sucking up as much moisture, it's storing its energy. The leaves drop to the ground, and you can explain that in an academic sense, but then you go a step further and you can talk about insulation. Talk to your children about, so when you stack these leaves on top of each other, and then you could jump in the leaf pile, cover yourself in leaves, have a bunch of fun, get a bunch of ticks, and let them know this is a great way to stay warm, because you can explain the concept of insulation, the air being trapped between the dead leaves and so forth. And now you've not only taught them science, but you've also taught them a life skill, a way to survive if they're ever in a situation where they need to stay warm and they maybe don't have the ability to be as warm as they need to be. Maybe they're, whether it be on the side of the road, whether it be, maybe turned around in the woods, maybe it be camping and they bring the right stuff. So it's just an amazing way of being able to teach your children different ways of applying education in a real-world situation. It could also be, maybe a game of Monopoly. It doesn't have to be the long game, because that takes 3 days to play. Maybe you just split up all the money. Everybody gets, every other thing gets a Monopoly. You'd probably want to keep Boardwalk and Park Place open to buy as you go, because that'd be a little unfair if somebody got it. And then, when you land on it, you say, okay, well, this is what your rent is, but I have hotels on it, so it's 3 times that, or 2 times that, or whatever it is. And your child has to figure it out and do that. And that's kind of the concept behind unschooling, is schooling your child in a way that is applicable in life, so that not only they can do math, but they can also, split the recipe of a cake in half if they only want to eat half of a cake, and not, disassociate the two. So anyway, that's unschooling. I went off on a kind of a tangent. Today I'm going to talk about unpracticing, which is a little bit of a different concept, but I wanted to kind of lay that foundation. So, we've all heard the term practice makes perfect, right? And you're going to see me looking down, because I'm looking at these notes, because I have very limited time. I don't want to have to restart the camera. It's probably going to make a bunch of mistakes. I'm not going to edit them out. That's just the deal you're getting. So, we've all heard practice makes perfect, right? So, practice makes perfect. There's a lot of ways to say it. Practice makes perfect only if you practice perfectly, or practice makes perfect, only if you're practicing the right thing. There's all kinds of ways to put it. But basically, repetition is what burns the neural pathways in our brain to allow us to continue to do the task that we're trying to train ourselves to do, right? It's kind of the misnomer of muscle memory. Your brain is not a muscle. There's no such thing as muscle memory. It's neural pathways that are burnt into your neural pathways, sends the message to your muscles, and that's what accomplishes the task. So, so as we practice, we continue to build those neural pathways and make them stronger. And unfortunately, a negative byproduct of that is that if we're not practicing, I don't want to say properly, but if we try and practice too much of the same thing for too long of a time, we're not really allowing ourselves to increase our skill level or to bring our practice to the next level, because we're practicing the same thing, especially when we're a beginner. Okay, like when you can apply it to anything, to like martial arts. Let's say martial arts, because that's something that most of us can relate to. Let's say you're training that front snap kick or the reverse punch, or whatever it is. So you're going to do 100 million of them when you're a white belt. So then when you get to your yellow belt or your blue belt, depending upon your style, somebody comes across and tells you, okay, great job practicing that, but you're doing it wrong. Now you got to adjust your hips here. You have to shorten. You have to flex your chest there. You have to turn your knuckles so that the two knuckles are in contact and not your whole hand. So anyway, the whole time you were a white belt, you've been practicing this punch wrong. So now you're going to spend the entire yellow belt fixing that. Okay, well now when you get to your green belt, you're going to say, great job doing that, but your stance has been wrong the whole time. Now you got to adjust your stance. Now you got to think about correcting your punch. So I think you see where this is going. So unpracticing is, to me, the definition of the importance of a break. Right? So practice something. Practice it as much as you want. Practice it a lot. Practice it weeks, months, whatever it is. And then stop. Don't go to the next level yet. Stop. Okay? There's a huge importance of breaks because it allows you to reflect back on what you've done. Right? So you can look back and be, okay, I've been practicing this pressure flaking. I'm pushing in, I'm loading up, I'm plucking out. Pushing in, I'm loading up, I'm plucking out. And you can really just imagine what you're doing. And that gives you an opportunity to be like, oh, you know what though? I'm not locking my elbow into my core. That's probably not good because I don't have the same range of motion every time. It's going to hurt my wrist. A lot of different things like that. So take a break. Reflect on what you've done. And see what can I improve upon? What little thing can I implement right now that will allow me to not build bad habits. Right? So instead of building those neural pathways and having that programmed into your brain, because the bad habits are hard to break. They're really hard to break, and you can spend a lot of time really not even learning, just specifically breaking a bad habit. And well, here he's back again. So there's a good process that I like to use, and I'm guilty of the same thing as everybody else. You get excited and you want to just keep going and learning and doing more, but there's a huge benefit of unpracticing. Okay, try and remember that. So reflecting, after you reflect back on what you do, this is the process that I like to use, and I did have to write it down because I kind of have it like automated in my brain. So I practice something, or I try to practice something, and this is what I try to do. Like I said, I'm not 100% efficient at this either, but this is what I try and tell myself when I find myself either at a block, or you'll see other people that may progress beyond you because maybe they learn a different way. But this is what I found. So I practice, I reflect on what I've been practicing and what my outcome is. I evaluate that. Am I getting the outcome that I wanted to get? Am I learning? Am I getting better at what I'm doing? I adjust what I'm doing. Okay, so I reflect on that and I adjust, say, okay, well, I'm not getting the results I want, my flakes aren't driving long enough, or I'm losing too much material on my spall. What do I need to do? And then I adjust, and then I practice that. Okay, so it's really that easy. So you practice, you self-evaluate. Am I getting the results that I want? You reflect back on what you're doing. If you're not getting the results that you want, you ask yourself, why am I not getting those, and you adjust. And then after you adjust, the important part is you have to practice after you adjust. You have to burn that part into you too. And then after you adjust and you practice, you have to self-audit. Did that work for me? Am I now getting the results that I want? And the only way you can do that, in my opinion, for me personally, is by taking a break from whatever you're doing. So if you go through this process and you're getting positive results, I like to do that for, it depends on what the task is, you know, a month or 2 or 3 months. Sometimes it bleeds a little bit longer, and then stop again. Because when you start getting into that groove, oftentimes you might find that you're not progressing beyond that last level of progression. You're still stuck at that one spot because that was your goal, right? I mean, you can't have goal way out, you know, at 100%. You got to do it in increments, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50. And if you get stuck in that 30%, you know, you may never grow past that 30%. And if you try and go from 0 to 100, you'll have mediocre skills throughout the whole, you know, metric. So anyway, that's a concept that I wanted to try and convey, is unpracticing. It also allows you to give yourself a break. We all want to practice, and we're all motivated and dedicated to what we do, and we want to do it as much as we can, but sometimes you can really benefit from taking a holiday and just saying, you know what, for the next month, I'm not going to practice this skill set, or it could be anything. It doesn't have to be flint knapping, martial arts. It could be, I don't know, I'm drawing a blank and I don't want to have to edit this video, but it could be anything in your life. It could be your relationship. Maybe you've been trying to improve your relationship so much that you're not able to reflect back on whether or not the improvements you've tried to make has actually even helped your relationship. Maybe you take a quick break and you let that sort of soak in and evaluate, see if that has produced the results you want, adjust if it hasn't, or even adjust if it has, to try and bring it to that next level and do it that way. So anyway, I hope this made a shred of sense. I know there's probably a lot more I could elaborate on this, but again, I've got limited time and not interested in spending a bunch of time editing these videos. This is something that, you know, I think everybody can benefit from, but if you know who is watching and you know who you are, my dearest, then, and I'm not here to tell you, take this advice and be successful in life. So anyway, again, life is short. Find someone that you love, tell them that you love them. Find someone that you like and tell them that you like them. Give somebody a hug, do something good. There's so many reasons to be upset right now and to be divided. Let's just try and do our best to stay inside our little bubbles. Let all the big stuff just happen. There's nothing we can do about it anyway. And let the good times be the good times. All right, Greenbird out. Everybody be awesome.